All rise, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a nice Easter. Chief Amon would like to make a presentation tonight, which we're looking forward to. Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Mayor and Council, very honored to be ahead in front of you this evening. I'm going to ask Carrie Hupp, please come on. This is Carrie Hupp. She's one of the managers at the Planet Fitness here in Shrewsbury. And back on March 23rd, she was working and one of the clients at the fitness center was working out and went into cardiac arrest. Carrie jumped in right away, performed CPR, pulled out their automatic external defibrillator, applied it to him, and was able to deliver one shock. And just as she was trained, and we arrived, he was awake and talking to us. Wow. So we're presenting Carrie this evening with life-saving award. The gentleman was transported to the hospital and treated, and has been discharged with a good prognosis. So just goes to show that our CPR training and automatic external defibrillators make a good are great for our community. So, Carrie, congratulations.
Yeah. One photographer. Right.
That's great.
Hi, guys. And Carrie, on behalf of the board and all the citizens in Shrewsbury, thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you. Again, let's give her a big round. All right, Elliot, we're in need of a roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman, please answer here when I call your name for the roll. Alderman Louder. Here. Alderman Peters. Here. Alderman Odenwald.
Here.
Alderperson Reeves.
Here.
Alderman Schmelsley.
Here.
Alderperson Welch.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, we have a full quorum for this evening's board meeting.
Thank you, Elliot. And we need a motion to approve the minutes of our March 28th, 23 work session.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, Elliot, do we have any citizens that have pre-submitted written comments?
Not this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. We will then move on to our ordinances. We have 3 ordinances tonight for first reading. The first of which is bill number 3082, Midwest Pool Aquatic Center Management Agreement. And Chris, do you want to kind of just, is there anything you need to fill in on that before we entertain a motion?
Thanks, unless somebody has any questions. We went over it pretty thoroughly last.
Right. All right. Any questions from the board?
I think my only question is, have we done an ordinance before, or is this our first ordinance with them?
It's the first one in a while.
Okay.
We've done it in the past, but it's been a while. We've done it.
For clarification, this is they haven't changed their contracted rates in quite some time, so we may not have had to adjust the contract, but renew yearly. And
3-year contract with the option to extend. So it could several years.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Greg, you sponsored that. Would you like to make a motion?
Absolutely. I'll make the motion for the first reading of bill number 3082.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
First reading of bill number 3082 by title only with ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Midwest Pool Management of America Limited for the provision of pool management services.
All right, we will move on to bill number 3083, which is the St. Louis County Vector Abatement Services Agreement. Again, this is also a first reading sponsored by Greg. Elliot, would you like to explain?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Alderman, this is a renewal of our previous 5-year contract with St. Louis County for vector control. And no, that's in this terminology, not a math term. That is talking about all things rodent, insect, all the nasty little critters that we don't necessarily want to spread beyond controllable amounts. So this is a program through St. Louis County. As you can see in the contract language, they provide all different types from larvicide to live insects and rodents and all that kind of stuff. And their hourly rates are included in here. And this is a 5-year contract, so it's ready for first reading.
Just-
All right.
I had a question
Sure.
for it. Do we like have to request them to come in and do this? Or I'm not sure if you even know, or this is a question that Tony would have to answer. Like if we want to come out and spray for mosquitoes, do they just come out? Or do we have to make the call and say, can you guys start spraying for mosquitoes? How, do you know how that works?
I believe this is upon request.
Okay.
But you're right. Director Wagner would know more information about that.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And there is absolutely no rush on this. This contract that we currently have doesn't expire till the end of this year. So if there are additional questions of the board, there is no, there's no rush on it.
Yeah, how many hours a year do we use the service and all?
I don't have that
Is
information. in
Tony
front of me.
not on Zoom tonight?
I don't see him.
Should I ask a question? Or should I just hold off?
If you don't mind getting another, I don't know.
I will get another, I don't.
You know, ask it now, and that way I can find out.
Okay, so my other question then following yours would be, are citizens able to opt out if we do utilize their services?
Not to my knowledge.
And I also thought that Tony sprayed for mosquitoes during the summer, right? It's depending on humidity and
Yes, he
temperature.
used to,
and
yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
But evidently he is deferring to St. Louis County on the spraying. So,
So if we took advantage of this program, would we not utilize those budgeted funds?
Again, good question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much is budgeted specifically for insect and vector control in-house at this time.
if there are questions, I guess we just motion to table this, don't we? And
Yeah.
we won't even do the first reading and we can do it at another time. Does everybody feel better about
I
that?
still move we table this till we get the questions before Tony.
Do I have we didn't know Tony wasn't going to be here. so.
Yeah, second.
Okay, do we have a second? Any other discussion? We have a motion to table, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 3083, first reading has been tabled. All right, let's move on to Bill 3084, SWT Design Port Amenity Needs Assessment Agreement. Again, this is the first reading. Betty, you are the sponsor of this, and Chris, is there anything you'd like to add?
So this is, you guys passed, agreed to allow us to go after the grant at the last meeting. So this is the agreement with SWT to do the planning grant, the sports courts assessment for us.
Okay. Do I have a, Betty, would you like to make that motion?
Sure, I move that we have the first reading for bill number 3084.
All right, do I have a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
First reading of bill number 3084 by title only, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with SWT Design Inc. for the provision of master planning design services for the city's outdoor sports.
Okay, very good. Now we'll move on to item F, which is resolution 2023-04, the Missouri American Water Fire Hydrant on Wilshire Avenue. And I was going to let Tony explain that. Chris, are you prepared to explain why we're adding that fire hydrant?
So Missouri American Water replacing the water main on on Wilshire Avenue between Weil and Murdoch. And we've asked them to install an additional fire hydrant, 5,000 watt. They get a resolution.
Very good, thank you. Any questions of Chris before we move? All right, I'll entertain a motion for resolution 2022-04.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we've adopted that resolution. Thank you. Now we'll move on to department head reports. Chris, Anna?
Mayor, members of the council, a couple things this evening. One, we've received our new cardiac monitor defibrillators that were included in the capital improvement budget this year. The crews are receiving training on them this week. They had their first training session on this morning, or yesterday morning. And the rest of the crews will get trained on later this week. They'll be put in service next week. So as you can see how important they are in the public.
Yes.
Something we use on a daily basis. Second off, I would ask my crew to remove their hats, please. You'll notice that they've all got quite long hair. They have decided to make this mullet May and have been growing their hair out. They're actually getting trimmed up tonight by a barber coming in so that they look.
I'll get my hair cut tomorrow. Maybe I should tell her to cut it.
But they're doing it for charity. They're collecting, raising funds for the Carter Children's Foundation.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, this crew was on last night, and I should want to point out, John Baton, Alex Brenner, and Captain Mike Levsky. We had a fire last night in the 5,000 block of South of Fleet Station Road in Afton. When they arrived, Afton was extinguishing the fire from the rear. They entered the front of the residence, went up to the second floor, were able to rescue a victim from the house. Unfortunately, he passed away later at the hospital, but they put in a great effort, and made that rescue.
Thank you guys for a job well done. So sorry to hear about the victim.
Sometimes they don't go our way. That's all I have. Any
All right,
questions?
thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Chief Vargas?
Good evening, board, mayor. It is a flashback to my high school days, looking at the haircuts back there for sure. You do have my report. I did want to let you know, Alderman Lauder brought it up when he came in. We are wearing, you'll notice that some of our officers, most of them are wearing the light blue badges this month in recognition of National Autism Month. We posted it on Facebook. The officers purchased the badges themselves with my authorization, and the department orders them. We do the same thing for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October with the pink badges. So if you see the officers put those on, that's what those are signifying if anyone asks. Captain Gort and I have completed our training with Northwestern University. Thank goodness. It was 3 months of very extensive, intense work, but we are both back at work. Both of our new officers are getting ready to come off of field training. So we will be, for the most part, at full staff. We will also be addressing, we've gotten quite a few complaints, including from me, on the Fleet Station Road about the airplanes flying up and down that road.
Yeah.
We are working in conjunction with Webster Groves. A couple dates coming up planned with H&B money, which is hazardous moving violation grants. We're going to have guys in on overtime, and both departments are going to be hitting that area, hopefully getting people to slow down on a permanent basis. But you'll see us out there more with that, as well as I get these new officers off the training. So hopefully we can get that area a little slower than what they're going, because board knows it needs it. So we'll be working on that as well. If they have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. If not, that's all I have.
Is there any way, now you were at the training for how long? 10 weeks?
11 weeks.
Can you summarize, like send us kind of what you learned while you were there? Because I would love to know.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
It's what's called a command college.
Yeah.
The FBI puts on something similar in Virginia. It's a 3-month course that you send command level officers, chiefs and below, usually through lieutenants, sometimes sergeants, depending on the makeup of your agency, but it's all leadership type courses to help us basically be better leaders. And we brought a lot of stuff back that I'm sure our guys will be bringing their hands with here shortly, but it's a great way to get other viewpoints in the job, as well as other resources, which has been tremendous for us. This was the first class that's ever come to the St. Louis area. Northwestern University is up in Northern Illinois. So to go to that class, you have to either go there or go to the one in Virginia. So I'm going to both. This was just more cost effective for us because it was the first time the class was brought to the St. Louis area. They typically have 20 participants. They had 40 in our class. So they determined that this might be a good place to continue to bring this every other year possibly. So we're hoping for that because it helps the other agencies in this area who can't get someone to the FBI Academy. But I will definitely send you.
And what a great opportunity for us financially too, for it
Yes.
to be here.
Most
That's
definitely.
what it would have cost us and
3 months of a hotel room would not be something I'd want to put before the board and say, hey, can you say yes to this?
I appreciate the invitation the other day to your graduation ceremony. And the one thing that struck me was the camaraderie, the friendships that you guys struck up in a matter of 10, 11 weeks.
Most definitely.
And,
They break
what
you down
you
and build you
became-
back up for sure.
You became quite a tight-knit unit there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really special.
That just helps with the networking and the resources that we
Right,
can get because
exactly.
we've been
Exactly.
texting ever since. So yeah, it's an
Exactly.
excellent opportunity for both of us. So I appreciate the board giving us approval to do that.
And the commitment that you and Brett made to be, to handle your jobs and go to school for 3 months like that, 5 days a week. So
Which in line, I had to sneak in at 12 o'clock at night on occasion and come up through the fire department so the guys didn't know I was in my office. But it worked.
let's give you a round of applause for making it to this point.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Diana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of the
Evening.
board. You have my written report, couple of notes on our opposition to repeal sales tax on food. The municipal officials were successful in having Senate Bill 131. Senator Bratton did remove food sales tax exemption from his bill. There are 6 House of Representative bills with food sales tax exemptions that have not been assigned to committees, so more than likely they won't be heard in this session. The only one still standing is Senate Bill 161 from Senator Coleman. And they did have a formal calendar for perfection today. And I will keep the board updated if that continues to go further. We have a Finance Commission meeting scheduled for Thursday, May 4th from 6 until 9 p.m. We encourage the board and the public to attend, and I sent out calendar invitations to all the board members. And I received a few accepted invitations and tentative. And if you can let me know before that meeting, I'll be sure to have paper materials ready for you at that meeting. Lastly, we continue with year-end close and audit prep. We were able to push field work out for 2 weeks to begin on May 1st. And we will have a preliminary unaudited 2022 statement of revenues and expenses. And Q1 or January through April 2023 on the agenda for the Finance Commission meeting. Any questions that I can answer?
Just a couple, just, I asked Elliot about his temporary, but how are you doing on the accounting clerk position?
I have not had an opportunity to review resumes with a lot of competing deadlines occurring right now. I just wanted to focus on the audit. And I'm sure Elliot will elaborate on this, but we've started with the organizational assessment and salary study. So there will be some time involved with that in the next few weeks. So in May, I hope to be conducting some interviews and hopefully get someone on board.
Okay. And in general, I know we haven't seen anything in a little bit, but financially, are we fairly close to budget on the revenue and expenses for the first quarter?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. The use tax, I'm very pleased to say, has come in at higher than anticipated. It really has ramped up. So I think it will be a good revenue source. I mean, we had, no idea the revenue we would receive from that, and the fall sales, November, December, January, February, all look strong. So we'll have a better idea, I think, in the next few months, how we can plan on that revenue stream on an annual basis.
Also want to thank you for your participation in these sales tax proposals and bids.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
All right, Chris.
Mayor Gordon, you had my written report. Since we last met, we had both our egg hunts. It's hard to believe, but the youth one was about 40 degrees with 40-mile-an-hour winds, and today it's 80 degrees. For 7th Street, I want to thank the fire department. I don't know if any of you guys are here, were on the crew that was there, but not only did they deliver the bunny, they got a blower out and got to blow the eggs back onto the tennis court because the wind had blown them all against one wall. So that came in handy. We do appreciate their help in that event. We did have to move the adult egg hunt back because of the storms, but we did get that done this last Friday. We had about 100 people for both egg hunts, which is a testament to both those events. We had that many people show up, especially for the youth one in that kind of weather. As well as with the fire department, we did also receive our AEDs for this facility. We now have one on the main floor, one on the second level. We are ordering some extra signage, so they are very visible. And then we have a third one that will go down to the pool, and we hope to every year add one to the building until we have what we feel is complete coverage for this facility. Our new employee Allison has been working on the website, so if you get a chance, go to the Parks Department's portion of that. She's done a lot of great things to that, and it's a lot more user friendly for us than it had been. So we really appreciate that. We'll start moving on that planning grant as soon as we get that approved at the next meeting, and we'll start. You'll see some public forums, some surveys going out. We'll start getting some input from the community on what they want their sports courts to look like. That we're excited about that. That's all I really have. Unless anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Elliot.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. You have my written report as well. Couple of items to update you on. Were not addressed in the report. As Diana mentioned, we did have our kickoff meeting with GovHRUSA on Monday with all the department heads and the mayor, and got kind of our preliminary marching orders from them on what they need and our timeline. It looks like we're going to be wrapping up by the end of July, but we'll have a preliminary report so long as everything stays on task by the beginning of July, and ready for the board to start reviewing how to implement that. Keep in your calendars, we do have a tentative date for interviews with the team that's been tasked and assigned to us. And the Board of Aldermen is going to be interviewed by them by ward, so that we don't run across of any sunshine issues. So each ward is going to have a hour-long meeting, with the staff, and it's on tentatively April 24th in the afternoon. So I'm going to be sending out a calendar invite about that. I just got it today. So keep that date in mind. They'll also be here on the 25th if we need to do a follow-up, and if you're not able to be here in person, they said they can do everything remotely and work around our schedule. I think I can speak for all the department heads. They seem like a great team, and we're really looking forward to working with them. The certified election results from last Tuesday are not in yet. As soon as they are, I will do my duty as a city clerk to do our certification, and we'll have an ordinance drafted. The board will accept those results, and then we plan on doing our swearing in ceremony at the first meeting in May, as we typically do. As I'm sure all of you are aware, Presley Barker will be joining the board, and will be certainly sad to see Alderperson Reeves leaving us, but that'll be the date, the actual date of that meeting is the second Tuesday of May, and just keep that for May 13th, or May
14.
9th, May 9th. Also, I just want to let you know, this AV system in here, I have worked with it. I think I've got this going pretty well. I've got a consultant coming in tomorrow who's going to kind of give me a rundown on how to integrate it better with Zoom. And I'm seeing up there, Mr. Mayor, that Tony has joined us. So I think he'll be adding some information on his report as well. But that'll be tomorrow, and I hope to be able to get this done without expending too much as far as additional resources. And I'll let you know if it's going to require anything else. But the plan is to get the audio for those joining us on Zoom. I'm working on it, but getting the audio piped into Zoom a little better. It's been a struggle, but I mean, we couldn't even have our department head meeting with the vendors the other day without some technical issues. So we'll get that hopefully up and running as well. Also, just kind of an update, the Chippewa Center, the former Schnucks, the owner of that property has approached St. Louis City with the development proposal, and I'll be meeting with some reps from the city, St. Louis Development Corporation, tomorrow morning on site to kind of get a feel for how that's going to work out. Very preliminary, but we have some high hopes for getting something in there as soon as possible. We have a plan commission work session tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, the 26th. This is not a agenda item really driven. We don't have any permits, special use permit requests or anything on the docket. This will just be for everybody to come in and kind of, it's been a while since we've met, so we'll get the whole plan commission in to kind of have a work session of what they'd like to see for the rest of the year as we kind of address our, maybe bringing back the plan or the outdated, forgetting the word for it, but our comprehensive plan, bringing that back up on the agenda and getting that finally completed. And then as Chris Buck said, the Parks Department is really having a lot of fun with our new websites. They've already, Allison has brought some tough questions to me as the kind of the guy wearing the website guru hat these days for the city, but I think it's worked out pretty well for her, and she's definitely gonna take that to the next level. She's also addressed some things that we don't really have in our sort of baseline package for the website that she would like. So I've encouraged her, and I encourage all the other departments to kind of take a look at their their pages, their sub pages on the website, and bring up anything, kind of a wish list of things that they would like, and maybe in next year's budget we can increase the funding for the website and get some additional capabilities on. So without anything else, I'll answer any questions.
I'm gonna ask, you had brought up with the recent meeting with the survey points. I was gonna check, sounds like July, is when they were looking to probably finish up. They said they have a timeline, and actually it's funny you say that, because I actually wrote down a timeline. I'm a schedule guy. I love schedules. That's kind of how I plan things out. If there's any way you could provide that to the board, just so we can see the parts and pieces and where everybody's the decision-making process, I appreciate that. And the second one, I had actually talked to a couple other communities that have utilized them. And I know they do some surveying. I think they do surveys with in-house, things like that, just like they do interviews with us. I would love with the rest of the board to possibly be considered as, if there's a way to do it, as key city officials, that we could take that survey. I just kind of love to see what the parts and pieces are of it, so.
I believe that all the aldermen are included in their survey, so
Yes, okay.
I'll verify that and let you know.
And we've also asked Keith and board that, if there's any way of moving up that timeline and try to get something done before the end of July, they're gonna work towards that. But a lot of it's gonna have to do with how they get their survey results in from the other communities. And so there's a lot of moving parts there, but they're gonna bear that in mind and try to speed up the process as much as they.
If they responsive points too, because those will be questions I'll ask in the future. I know that, I think you've done one. I think others have done studies where they reached out and it's like, everybody's so busy, they're like, I didn't get back to you a moment. So
Right.
it'd be good to know who responded, who didn't, what's the survey pool look like, things like that. Those are things that I'll be looking at too, though. So thank you.
All right.
Appreciate that. Heads up on that.
You're welcome.
Anything from anyone else?
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
Elliot. All right, Tony.
Mayor and board, you have my written report also. Apologize for being a little late here. We're still doing patchwork in Southwoods. We had to jump off of that just due to the grass. It's starting to get a little out of control. And we'll bounce back over to the patchwork as soon as we can. We do have a bunch of patchwork on the asphalt streets also. We did some structural repairs in the pump house with a welding company. Part of the floor was starting to cave in there, and that's all been repaired. We painted the slide structure, that big structure that you climb up to go down the big slide at the pool. That was in dire need of some maintenance. We did finish that up, so looks nice before the pool opens. And there's a window that was broken by somebody that broke into the building, and we're just waiting on that to come in from the manufacturer. Supposed to be here Friday or Monday. So as soon as that shows up, we will get that in immediately so that that's all ready to go for the opening of the pool. Luth Construction has started restoration on Sutherland and St. Vincent, Melbourne, Murdoch. We're still in them areas, so they did do some curb work. That has been completed. They got to come back in now and backfill that, and then we can start getting with NB West to have them grind them tops of the streets off so that we could get that pavement prepped for a chip seal from curb to curb. That chip seal with NB West starts in May and June, so that's a good time to do that because that pavement will be good and warm, and that'll give that rock plenty of time to set before we start sliding a snowplow over it. Also, we're down one person. Actually, Chris will be back next week. Chris and Hannah had a little baby boy named Brody Christopher. So congratulations to them and happy spring to all. And if there's anybody got any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Tony, we tabled bill number 3083, the St. Louis County Vector Abatement Agreement, because the board had a number of questions. And if I'm going to give them the opportunity now to ask those questions. One of them was, didn't you do the spraying in the past? And evidently, why are we turning this over to the county? And I'll let the questions flow from there. So.
Well, I can make it easy for you. We do the spraying when we have complaints on it. What St. Louis County does, and they've been doing it for years for us, they do the adult larviciding, where they monitor the creeks in any area that's holds water, and then they treat those areas, and then they come back through there. I think it's weekly or every other week or something, and they check these traps or something that they have down there to watch so that we don't get that West Nile and stuff. But that is something that St. Louis County has been doing for us for years.
Questions? All right, thank you, Tony.
There were a couple other
Yeah.
questions. I want me to go back into the.
Yeah, it was,
Or,
hey, Tony, I just wanted to ask, how much time does St. Louis County spend in that as far as billable hours for the summer months?
That I'm not sure of. It's always been around the $700 mark, and now this year it's went up. It's been like $700 a year.
Okay.
For I know for at least 8 years probably, and I noticed this year that it was going to go up a little bit due to, I guess, the chemicals and stuff that they're using.
Tony, is there a way to find out where they spray exactly?
They do not spray. I just said that we spray only on request. If people call City Hall, whatever, and complain about the mosquitoes, then we spray. St. Louis County does not spray.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, so they just squirt it in the water? Is that how it works?
It's a trap, and they put like a tablet. They put a tablet in the areas that hold water, and then in the creek they have like a tablet that goes in there, and then that's what they check. They check a little trap there.
Thank you. Okay.
and with that, what we'll do is we'll put that back. You said we were not in a terrific hurry on this, but we could put it back for first reading at the next meeting. And if you come up with any other questions at the next meeting, we can have Tony address them at that point. All right. Any other questions of Tony? All right. Thank you, Tony.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. And on my report, I'd just like to congratulate, even though those results are unofficial at this point, I'd like to congratulate John Oldenwald in Ward 1, Presley Barker in Ward 2, and Betty Welch in Ward 3 on the election last week. And Elisa, I'd also like to echo that we'll miss you. Thank you for your time on the board and your hard work and dedication to the board. And we'll be saying that to you again come May the 9th.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, is there any old business to come before the board? Hearing none,
Yeah.
is there- Oh, yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I have a few things I'd like to ask.
Sure.
This is regarding the assessment and salary studies. I know that last session that I was not there at, the salary study was added back in. When I initially motioned to remove that, it was so that those funds left over would go to the retaining wall and to the remaining street repair budget for Tony that was accidentally left out. So with that being added back in, I know that the board had passed a preliminary thing for the retaining wall. Is Tony still getting the funds that he needs for his street repairs?
I can answer that if you want me to, Mayor.
This over to you, Tone.
Yeah, John, we do. With the amount of money, and this is all in capital. So the street sweeper is capital. The salt is now capital. And so now with the amount of money that we saved on the street sweeper, we can shift some money from there. And also with the very light use of the salt this year, we do have money there. So we'll be okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any other old business to come before the board? Hearing none, is there any new business to come before the board?
I actually have some new business that I wanted to point out. I thought it was pretty prudent. I actually had a question from a constituent that, and this isn't the first time I've been asked this question, so I thought it was relevant. I thought, you know what, I really haven't replied to this, nor towards my fellow board members, nor towards the constituents on. The question was, you know, what do I do, or what am I looking at when I make a decisions when looking at either a vendor or a company or an individual for the city, which I thought was actually a great question, and other people had asked me that. And I just kind of wanted to share with my fellow board members, the mayor, the constituents on what I'm looking at. So you guys understand where I'm coming from when I make my decisions. I look at expertise. Which is, are they a specialist in this? I'm not gonna go use an internal med doctor for an oncology, surgery or for if I have cancer. I look at experience. How long have they been doing this? Has it been 10 years, 15, 20 years? Has it been a year? Has it been 3 years, 5 years? If I'm gonna pick somebody for a municipal company, I want to make sure that they've done municipal work in the past. It's important. The third one is reputation. We just transferred reputation, right? We just transferred a referral right between us just a couple minutes ago. Referrals are huge, and the things that I look at are they ethical? Are they hardworking? Are they objective? Are they creative? I mean, there's times where somebody will bring an idea to me and I'm like, I did not even think about that. That is a heck of an idea. So that's my third one that I look at when taking this all in. Number 4 is how professional are they? How are they when they talk to if they're doing work on somebody's property, are they kind? Do they use kind words to the constituent? I mean, they're in their front yard or in their backyard, however you want to put it. If they're an individual representing the city, how do they talk to constituents, to the mayor, to the board of aldermen, to their heads of departments, to their peers as an overall? And the final one I wanted to mention, because I thought this was relevant, is cost is vitally important to me. And I know especially in our market right now, cost is important, but that's not my gold standard. Coming from the contractor world, I've always asked for 3 to 5 bids process. There's many times where I've even looked at the lowest bid and passed on it because I said, hey, I know they're gonna hit me with change orders. Like that reputation precedes itself. So I wanted to answer the question from that constituent. I wanted to also let my fellow board members on what I look at so that you guys all understand though. And if anybody has any questions about that for the future, please let me know. So thank you for just giving me that moment to share that.
Thank you, Keith. All right. Is there any other new business to come before the board? Hearing none. Elliot, do we have any citizens that would like to come before the board?
Mr. Mayor, as usual, we would like to offer an opportunity for those who've joined us in person to address the board at this time. It does look like we have one. Come on up, state your name and your address, and after that, we'll move on to those on Zoom.
This is a question I've asked you before. My name is Dave Miller in the Villas at Henrik. And I just wanted to know the follow-up on the coffee shop cafe and the Aldi Strip Center there. Is that dead?
At this time, they are still working on the proposal for a special use permit, but they have not submitted anything to the city for review at this
Does
time.
anyone follow up on that or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we may smell coffee before long.
I sure hope so.
Be nice, wouldn't it? That's a
Yeah,
good,
it's
that's
just
a good.
such a thriving center and then to have that gaping hole there. It'd be nice to have that. The SSM therapy people are very anxious to have that still.
I'm sure they're right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Stop by my office anytime if you'd like to find out more about it. That works too.
All right. Anyone else that would like to come before the board, Elliot?
I have not seen any indication from those who've joined us on Zoom at this time, Mr. Mayor. I'm drawing this out to give them the opportunity. Nope, nobody else.
All right, thank you. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You don't want to adjourn? There we go.
That came when everybody else said aye. Time delay.
Thank you, everybody.
Holy
We're gonna be
kidding, man.
closing the meeting at this time. Thank you, John. Tony.
Thank you all.